prevent, so that you don't get into the other end of management, right? Consequence management. With us this morning, we have again Tan Sri Datuk Sri Dr. Haji Nur Hisham Abdullah, previously the Director General of Ministry of Health Malaysia, and with all the credentials there, as he alluded earlier on. We are also glad to have with us this morning Madam Rini Aziz Ahmad. She is not an MAG family, but she was sought out through our kind Dato' Badrul. Rini began cancer journey in October 2001, stage 2 breast cancer, underwent mastectomy, 6 months chemotherapy and 5 weeks of radiotherapy. She climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, wow, that's about 18,000 feet. In January 2005, reaching the peak, yeah. Continued mountain expeditions while holding senior management role at PLAS in her 10th year of treatment for metastatic breast cancer. Former outdoor enthusiast, now dedicates time as Secretary of Limau, an NGO committed to saving the Malayan tiger from extinction. Her journey, 2014, diagnosed with second cancer in right parotid gland, somewhere near the neck, yeah. Survived 6-hour surgery and 6 weeks of targeted radiotherapy. 2016 cancer, fortunately reclassified as stage 4 breast cancer with lung metastasis. Opted for early retirement in 2017 to focus on treatment and well-being and advocacy. That's why she's here this morning. Thank you very much, Rini. With us, the second panelist is our own ex-Malaysia Airlines system, cabin crew, Masliza Abdul Wahid. She said this morning to me, Dr. Aini, happy sikit, which is good. She's very positive, 51 years old, proud mother of 2 grown-up daughters. Former flight attendant with Malaysia Airlines, joined Malindo Air, now Mandi Air, and actively managing family business focuses on caring for felines, that's cats, right? Enjoying a calmer, stress-free life and less drama. No more turbulence up in the air, yeah. Her journey, diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer in August 2018, completed 6 cycles of chemotherapy, and cancer-free and survivor since. Right? That's close to 8 years now. Well done. And thanks again for coming, Mas. And our third panelist here, Sharon Rodan Janil, also an ex-Malaysia Airlines cabin staff member. 19 years of service with Malaysia Airlines, joined Parkson Departmental Store in July 2016. Currently stationed at Parkson Setia City Mall. She was diagnosed stage 2 breast cancer in March 2023 at Putrajaya Hospital. That's pretty recent, 2 years ago, and underwent lumpectomy, left breast in April 2023. Completed 6 cycles of chemotherapy at IKN Putrajaya, skipped radiation, and now on daily tamoxifen medication. Right. Again, thank you very much, Sharon. Thanks for spending your time with us. And thank you, panelists, including Tan Sri, for joining us this morning. So I will now go to the questions that has been posed. Maybe because we heard quite a bit from Tan Sri earlier on. If we can start with the ladies here, some of the questions. Rene, if you don't mind answering this question, what was your first reaction when you received the diagnosis?
Thank you for the question. I'll have to ask you to repeat it in a minute, but also thank you very much for having me. It's really a pleasure to be here. It's been a while since I've been invited to one of these talks, because I've been around quite a while now, and I think people after a while get, tired of hearing the same stories over and over again. But it's really a pleasure for me to join you all today. So I think the question was, how did it all begin for me?
What was your first reaction when you received the diagnosis of having a breast cancer?
Oh, first reaction was one of, I suppose, disbelief. And I mean, I'd found this lump quite by accident. I'd been scuba diving. I came home the next morning, I was cleaning up my gear. I had to return it because it was rental. And as I was going into the shower, I saw my reflection in the mirror and I realized there was something a bit different about my left breast. So I had a closer look and I realized, I think I need to have this checked out. And I went immediately the next day to the A&E department of a hospital near my office. And they found the lump, but as Tan Sri mentioned, finding a lump doesn't really mean anything until you have it actually diagnosed. Yeah, so I went through first of all an ultrasound and then a mammogram, and then I saw a breast surgeon, and the results came back. This actually was breast cancer, and based on the size, it was a stage 2 tumor. I then had a lumpectomy done to remove the tumor, and the surgeon was hoping that she could get enough margin around the tumor that I wouldn't need to do any further surgery. But the margins weren't clean. So a little while later, I went in for a full mastectomy. And the reason why I did a full mastectomy is because the lump happened to be quite in the middle of the breast. And breast conserving or breast conservation surgery might have ended up with what they call a donut shape, which is actually harder to manage once you've gone through that surgery. So being told all this, yes, it came as quite a shock, I would say. And I do remember getting the news from the breast surgeon in her office, and my first instinct was, I have to get out of this room, I have to make my way to the ladies' toilet really quickly because I am going to cry. And I did. I practically ran down the hallway, ran to the ladies and had a good cry. And my sister followed quite close behind me, you know. And I think it's hard on family members and caregivers because they're equally in shock. And they also aren't quite sure what they should do, you know. Oh my God, how am I going to help my sister or my mother or my auntie get through this? Yeah, so that was my first reaction, one of complete shock and disbelief.
Disbelief and shock, right? Thanks. If I may ask, what age were you at that stage?
I had just gone through my 40th birthday.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, I'd done my self-breast examination for the first time just before that, and I'd found nothing. Mainly because I suppose inexperience, you know. I should have had one of BCWA's nurses do it for me.
Right, thanks. We go to Sharon, same question, you know. What was your first reaction when you received this diagnosis, and you relatively new, right? Sharon, what were you in Malaysia Airlines before?
I was a flight attendant.
You were a flight attendant as well. Yes, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it's the same as Renee. It's a very heavy burden. The moment I received the diagnosis, I was disbelief, in shock, and yeah, the first question, why? I asked myself, well, why this happened? Because I don't have any family histories of breast cancer. So it's a very, it's very hard initially. It's very tough to accept the test result. Whenever the doctor told me about it, I was in blank. I'm grateful there's a friend of mine who came with me, and she's the one who asked a lot of questions and getting information from the doctor at that time, because I was totally blurred out. I can't accept it initially. I was really in shock. But initially, after a while, and it started to, come to me that, okay, this is what happening, what should I do next? So that's what I ask myself.
Right, thanks very much, Sharon. And Tan Sri, you know, the person sitting on the other side of the table, how do you actually break the news to the cancer patients on the first diagnosis, the consultation and all?
So I must admit, I think during the pandemic, everybody knows me, right? And I was handling the health crisis as well as the political crisis and the economic crisis as well. So it's very challenging during a period of time. More importantly is that because there was a political crisis, I was entrusted by the cabinet and the Prime Minister to conduct the PC every day without fail, because he wants a professional rather than a politician. When you have a political crisis, obviously the opposition will attack you once you open your mouth, right? So I think during the engagement with public, that's where I learned how to engage with my patient over the last 30 years. I see the camera as if I'm talking to one patient. And when diagnosis, for example, patient comes to us, we need to manage the expectation of the patient. This is very important, and take them through step by step. You know, it's not that, oh, you got cancer, surgery, that's it. No, you must have a very good communication, and that's how I developed my communication with patient over the last 35 years. And it's important. Why? Because the way you speak to the patient, the way you build trust, explain the issues and challenges with the patient with regards to the breast cancer. You know, and the first question all breast cancer patient or all patient will ask, why me, right? So why me actually? Likewise, why Malaysia we got the COVID-19? You know, we also ask the same question, right? The more important is that you need to stick to the fact there is actually a cancer now. How do we tackle cancer? You know, crisis comes and go. There is a crisis. No internal crisis you have. Now the issue is how do we handle the crisis is more important. So we take them through. Normally we call the patient and then with the family members, and you explain the issues and challenges about breast cancer. And then once they, there will be a shock, then they'll cry, and very emotionally. But we just have to take them through in terms of build the trust and confidence, so that they know exactly how to move on step by step. You know, and also the question will come in repeatedly. So I always tell my patient, okay, think about it, and then if you have any question at home, write it down so that you do not forget. Once you come to the clinic, you forget all the questions, right? At least you have written it down, and then you can ask the same question. And come with the family members. Sometimes the question will be repeated again and again by the patient, by the family members, but continue to answer. That's how when during the pandemic COVID-19, the reporters ask the same question, and I continue to repeat. So that is the way for us to reinforce in terms of what to do and what not to do, etc. So I think that the first thing is that the engagement is important. You know, getting from the perspective of the health system and the doctor. But also, I also encourage them to meet a support group like BCWA or any cancer patients, so that they can share the perspective as a patient, families, and etc. So they have both perspectives. This is important to build trust. Once you have the trust of the patient, then you can grow the trust together. So this is the key. So it's not jump straight away to surgery. That is secondary. The first important is to build trust with the patient, what to do and what not to do. And once you have the trust, I think then positive mindset, then you can go step by step and towards a proper treatment. And then once you have done the proper treatment and the expectation, once you can deliver the expectation for them and family, and obviously you have to take into account all forms I think engaging with the patients is the key before you talk about treatment.
Thanks, Asrik. A lot of empathy required, right, in managing cases. Mas Liza, if you don't mind passing on the mic to Mas Liza. And your reaction and your family's reaction when the news broke.
Well, my reaction when the doctor when the doctor told me that Mas is cancer. Honestly, I just look at her bluntly and I did not say anything. Just like both of our survivors here, we were shocked, and I just look at her. But my doctor she was a very kind person and very understanding. She just looked at me and we just looked at each other. I do not know whether I should cry at that time, but I just swallow everything in. If I'm not tekilan or if I'm not shocked, that means I gila lah kan. Nanti doktor tu diagnose me gila lah pula. So we just kept quiet for that moment. We just have our silence, and then I just asked her, okay, what's next? Then she go step by step. This is what we should do. I was 44 years old, no cancer history in my family, and just like Renee, I realized that my left breast is not comfortable because all this while it was okay, tak ada rasa apa-apa, and I only have 1 day off after my flight on the 1st August. So on the 2nd, I got my off day, and then I have to go for another trip. And it was so tiring, but I forced myself to go and check because it felt like this needle thingy mencocok your breast. So go and check. So I told myself just get up and go and do the check. And it took me 1 whole day, yeah. But end of the day, I got that kind of when I found out that I got cancer, I just need to, okay, what should I do? Because normally for cabin crew, we arrange our life according to our roster tau. And suddenly when I'm like, damn, this is not the normal schedule, this is not the normal life. I guess I was a bit zombie for the next 7 days after the first day. Planning how to tell my daughters, planning how to tell my family, especially my siblings. So basically I was shocked lah.
Thank you. Similar reactions, I suppose.
Yes.
It's a life-changing event, right?
Yes, doctor.
And how did you find the strength to face the treatment and all the challenges, the processes that were coming after that?
I guess the supports that I received from my daughters, especially my daughters, my siblings, and my aviation friends from Facebook, they are the ones who give me that strength. And surprisingly, some of my colleagues at that time, they actually, when they found out that I got cancer, when I am ready to tell my friends that I just got diagnosed with cancer, so I just biasalah kita post, and they were surprised, and I was surprised also because some of my colleagues who were flying, they themselves messaged me personally and told me that, Mas, I just recovered from this, not just breast cancer, but they recovered from certain cancer lah. And they gave me the support. They told me things like, the journey will not be easy, it will be ugly, so prepare yourself. Take your time to grieve about what had happened to you, but prepare yourself mentally and physically in order for you to go through the journey. Yeah, the journey, it's gonna be really, really ugly because you have to go through the operation, the chemotherapy. Alhamdulillah, I did not go through the radiotherapy. So prepare yourself. And the support daripada my siblings and my daughters, I do not know how to say lah, but like Dr. Tan Sri cakap, mental health. You have to prepare yourself mentally. That is very, very important. Set aside all the negativity, you accept all the positivity. Because we are humans. Some people, when they know that you are having issues, some they like knowing that your life is not as as perfect. Some they have that empathy and they will give you the support, even from strangers. So the strength I got, like I mentioned, from families, my siblings, and my daughters especially.
Thank you. If we can go to Renee, your, if I may say, extrovert character, did that help you in managing the cancer?
I don't know that I'm an extrovert. Sometimes I'm an extrovert, sometimes I'm quite an introvert.
An outdoorish person.
I don't know. I call myself sometimes Miss Friendly, you know. So I'll go up and say hello to just about anybody. Especially now that I'm older, I'm not shy about it anymore, and I've got, been through everything, nothing to hide anymore, I suppose. But yeah, perhaps it did help me go through it. When it comes to support groups, I was given a number to call by the nurse who was doing, setting the line for my chemo and all that. But I never called the number. It actually was the number for BCWA. I never called the number because I never felt the need to talk to other women who were going through what I was going through or had been through it. But much later, I joined BCWA's first Dragon Boat team. And then I got to meet all these other ladies, who had also been through what I'd been through. And I made some really good friends there. And unfortunately, over the years, I've also lost some friends there. But I then did see the value in having such an association or such a group of people who come together to support each other, because everybody has questions. And doctors, they can tell you only so much. They haven't lived through it themselves. Especially, you've got a male doctor and you're talking about breast cancer. The likelihood that he's actually been through it is negligible. But these are people, other women, who can share their experience with you. The only thing you need to remember is it's not one size fits all. Everybody's experience is a bit different. Even though you go through the same treatments, the outcome may be different, or the side effects may be different of various medications. And as long as you keep that in mind, it's really helpful, I think, for many people to know that, if I'm having doubts, I know I have a group of people who will help me by sharing their experience with me. And that's very important.
Thank you, Renee. Yeah, Tan Sri, back to you with regards to multidisciplinary approach in managing breast cancer. Right? It's not only the surgeon, oncologist, but the support system, the mental health, and so on. If you can elaborate a bit more on that.
So I think the first important is the perception. Manage the negative perception. Breast cancer or cancer kills, for example. So you try to actually overcome that, because there is a fear. A lot of us sometimes when we diagnose with cancer, the first thing is the fear of the unknown, and more so the misinformation, disinformation that has been there, create a lot of fear in us and the family. That is the same thing, I think, when during the pandemic COVID-19, is the fear of the unknown. So how do we manage the fear of the unknown? That's why I think you should understand from the perspective of the patient, not from the perspective of the doctors, right? The doctors is very technical, right? But the patient's perspective, and create the mindset that is actually how to move on. Yes, there will be, upset, there will be question of why me, but you have to convince the patient that it's not the end of everything. Perhaps it's just the beginning. Crisis leads to another, opportunity, and sometimes there is a lesson learned from this experience. And then we all go through crisis, midlife crisis, every crisis that we have. But the question is not the crisis. The question is how do we move on from the crisis? So that is the message that you need to convince the patient to move on. And, and if you can convince them, build trust with them, convince them, and with the team, then you work together. And patient support group, DCWA, for example, is also a part of the team, so that you look into your perspective and also patient perspective, bringing together, try to overcome and move forward. And as I said, if it's a positive mindset, I have seen a lot of patients survive, for long term. And now the technology is changing now. 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, I have a patient, 62 years old, breast cancer, lymph node involvement, surgery done, and report available. And then we ask for opinion. Everyone, T2N1, that means one lymph node positive, one or two lymph nodes positive, 62-year-old. Everyone in Malaysia, for example, said, oncologist said that she has to go for chemotherapy. And then obviously this patient can afford, so ask for second opinion. In Karolinska, in UK, in South Africa, everyone said chemotherapy. No two things about it. And then I asked my friend from Royal Melbourne Hospital, so he said, if the patient can afford, at that point in time, 15 years ago, now the technology is available here, why don't you send the specimen to US? Then you can do the oncotyping. Now, the oncotyping is a form of AI now. Now everybody's talking about AI, right? It will tell whether the patient's, every patient is different. It's not one size fits all. Look into the criteria of the patient, criteria of the disease, etc., and then map through the future. And the report, surprisingly, 2 weeks later, he came back and just to through my email, and just to show that there is no benefit whatsoever for chemotherapy, right? Despite all the oncologists, almost around the world said that she has to go for chemotherapy. So with that report, so I said, you go for hormonal therapy only. So she went for hormonal therapy for 5 years, and now after 15 years, she's still well, no issues. So which means now you can see the targeted treatment coming in, tailored, customized to the patient's, criteria, etc. And now with technology like AI, every patient's, the data that we have, we can actually, look into the mapping of the treatment plan and etc., even the outcome. So now looking back, it was the right decision, that she did not go for chemotherapy, only hormonal, and completed hormonal therapy for 5 years. Now 15 years down the line, I think she's still well, and but the mindset is very important, the positive mindset to move on, to solve the problem, to move on to the next level, what to do, what not to do. Sometimes denial comes in, then you delay the treatment, very negative, and obviously when you do that, your immunity will go down, and then you don't fight, and then before, if you do not have a positive mindset, half of the battle is already lost. So I think this is why I think we need to combine the physical and the mental health together.
Thank you, Tan Sri. Multidisciplinary approach, medical technology, and a positive mindset. Yeah. If I may go to Sharon now, something different. How can workplaces better support employees going through treatment?
How can it improve? Okay, in my opinion, the management needs to be more understanding and giving time to the employee, because we'll need time for them to absorb what's going on in their life. There's a lot of changes. And then they got a lot of appointments in the hospitals and that kind of thing. So in terms of support, some people like to share their experience, some like to keep to themselves. So just give them some space and time to get used to what is going on in their life right now. Yeah.
Right. At least for Malaysia Aviation Group, we have the hospitalization leave followed by prolonged illness leave to allow you to manage your condition. But there's also this not wanting to intrude into medical privacy, and it's a fine balance there. Some do want to share, some prefer, like you said, and the company respects that. That's important as well. Coming back to Renee here, if you how do you continue to advocate for breast cancer awareness today?
Well, I write about my experiences on social media. So my journey has continued. As you mentioned when you were going through the bios, in 2016, my breast cancer actually came back. It metastasized to my lungs, so I was restaged. And whilst my original diagnosis was stage 2, I'm now stage 4, living with metastatic breast cancer. And I have been living with it since 2016, so I'd say I'm doing pretty good still. But it is, it is something you really have to get your head around, because it doesn't go away. It's not something you're looking for a cure. It's something where you're looking how to enjoy life the best way you can whilst managing this life-threatening disease. And it is life-threatening, and I don't know. We all don't know what the future holds for us. This may be the thing that kills me in the end, or it might not. So why spend a lot of time worrying about it when I can simply just continue to live my life the best that I can? But when I write about my experiences, it's really to share two things. One is, if somebody else is going through something similar as what I'm going through, maybe they can get some information from my writing that will help them get through their own ordeal. The other is to let people know that, there's this expression that I like to use: it ain't over till the fat lady sings. And in my case, the fat lady, she hasn't sung yet. It's not over. But I do have to deal with the reality of my situation, which is progression. This disease progresses over time. And it's not something I can stop, but it's something I can manage and try to control. And I do that with regular visits to my oncologist, doing tests every month or every 2 months. Blood test is the basic one that lets me know how my tumor markers are behaving, which is the first indicator if something is changing again. And, the medication, the treatment has to then follow what's happening in me physically. So, yes, 2016 metastasis to my lungs. Last year, in 2024, I did a regular PET scan, and it showed a lesion in my brain. So I now have mets to the brain. So somewhere in the middle of the year, June I think it was, I went through what's known as gamma knife surgery. And gamma knife surgery, it's non-invasive, and basically it uses radiotherapy again, radiation, to zap the lesion, So I did a repeat MRI after the gamma knife. The MRI was necessary to confirm that there was a lesion and to do the gamma knife surgery. And then 6 months later, I did a repeat MRI, which showed that the lesion had shrunk a little bit, I mean, it's still there, but it's not active anymore. And my latest PET scan this year has shown that yes, it is stable now, but it's still there. And yes, it might become active again, or I might get a new lesion, or something else might develop. But that positive mindset is so important in recognizing that, you know, many things can happen, but you don't have to spend your entire life worrying about it. And, you know, that's really the best advice I can give anybody. Don't worry about things unnecessarily.
Right, thanks Renee. And your advocacy is through your writings, your books.
Yes.
Yeah. Mas Liza, if you don't mind sharing with us your advocacy through colleagues, your former cabin crew friends, or yeah, sharing, even coming here today. Yeah.
Let's me be honest lah the support from the people that care about you, honestly, ikhlas ya. Those are the people yang you can rely on if you want to cry your heart out through the journey, because they will not judge you, they will not question you, because you are the patient yang have to go through the treatment, the journey. You cannot afford to hear any negativity or judgment from people like kenapa kau kena cancer, you deserve it. You know, those negativity, you don't need it at that particular time. So you need to get yourself up and go through it with the support from the people yang care about you, honestly lah. And me basically, like I said, the three people, my daughters, my siblings and my good friends from the aviations, those are the people yang selalu bagi I kata-kata semangat. And if I feel sad, you know, there will be moments where kita rasa so down, you just do not want to interact with everyone. But there will be one person in your whole group too, in your community, that will just reach out for you and say, okay, take your time to breathe, to just be weak, but don't take time too long, because you need to get up again and live your life. Because you have people who care and love you. They are not ready to let you go yet. Like what you said about the fat lady. Yes.
Thank you,
So-
Ms. Liza. And Sharon, you continue to advocate on awareness in breast cancer and things like that.
Maybe I'll choose my circle. Choose your people. Be with people who are supportive of you, who will never say anything that negative or bring you down. Get someone that that you can call whenever you feel so down. Okay, you cry your heart out. You just cry, and that person just keeps silent, keep quiet. And the silence is so loud, saying that you have a backup. You have somebody that you can trust. You no matter what happened, there are someone there for you. You are not alone. And always reach out. Reach out to people that are qualified there to help you to go through the journey. Okay, there's a lot of misinformation out there. So get the information from the right resources, right? And always have a positive mind. Always be thinking that this is not permanent. Whatever happened right now is just temporarily. Okay, whatever you're going through, or if you're going through your chemos or your treatments, it will end. There's an end of it. So there's a light at the end of the tunnels. So don't always keep to yourself and always like go and live your life. As like already said, you wouldn't know either this disease gonna take your life one day or something else might. So just leave it. You only have one life.
Thank you, Sharon. So, in the interest of time, I'm sorry,
add
Renee,
something
please.
to what I said earlier. When you talk about advocacy, the other thing I believe in is, lead by example, right? So when I did that climb, Mount Kilimanjaro, that was in 2005. That was the first big thing I did after my cancer diagnosis. So I was diagnosed in 2001. I finished all my treatments in 2002. I spent most of 2003 wondering what had hit me because I didn't recognize myself anymore. And then somebody said, a friend of mine, would you like to climb Mount Kilimanjaro with us? And I thought, oh, that's really a good idea, isn't it? So I spent 2004 training, lost the 20 kilos that I had put on because of chemotherapy and, generally being depressed and eating too much cake and having too much coffee. And then in 2005, I climbed this big-ass mountain in Africa. And I did it. I made it. I got all the way to Uhuru Peak, the summit. And at that moment, standing on top of that mountain, I realized, if I could do this, I can do anything. Yeah? So we did more climbs. We then organized Climb Aconcagua, which was with the Breast Cancer Foundation. And we made a documentary about that one. We had a 2-part documentary, which aired on Astro, which talked about the preparation, the climb, the challenges, and everything. And again, it was to spread the message that just because you've been told you have cancer, any type of cancer, it doesn't mean you can't keep living your life to the fullest. Yeah? And there have been other climbs since. Elbrus, twice. 2017, didn't make it. 2019, I tried again on my own with a friend. Still didn't make it, but it's not about reaching the summit of these mountains. It's about being out there, still climbing, still trying, still living, and still enjoying your life. And that, I think, is, as advocacy goes, that's really the message you want to get across to people. Keep living your life.
Thanks very much, Renee. And yeah, wonderful. In the interest of time, maybe I'll throw this final question to Tan Sri. What is the one message you want everyone to remember about breast cancer, especially from the preventive end of it?
So I think the most important message is that cancer is a chronic disease. So you want to view cancer as a chronic disease and that can be treated. Sometimes, as I said, it's still there, but then it's not active, for example. So it's just like you have diabetes, you need to manage your diabetes. So it's a chronic disease that you can actually manage and continue your life. Cancer is not equal to death. That is the perception that we have. Once you have cancer, that means the death sentence will be there. It's not. It's a chronic disease that you need to manage. Even if you have diabetes, you don't manage it well, so also a complication comes in, etc. So I think the message is that now with the technology evolving rapidly, and we can say that we can manage cancer as a chronic disease. That's the most important message that is, that we can share.
Thank you, Tan Sri. So come in early, stage 1, stage 2, don't leave it late until stage 3 and 4 because it gets more difficult to manage at that stage, right? So maybe a round of applause to our panelists and Tan Sri here. And I have to pass this back to Katrina for the next program, please.
Thank you so much to our panelists for sharing such heartfelt and courageous stories. So I believe we can all agree that courage is not the absence of fear, it's actually the strength to move forward despite the fear. So we will now present tokens of appreciation to our distinguished guests and contributors who made today's event impactful. Please join me in acknowledging them. We would like to invite Ms. Buri to present a token of appreciation to Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Dr. Nurin Syamullah, our keynote speaker. We would also like to invite Ms. Sumitra Salvaraj, representative for Breast Cancer Welfare Association Malaysia, for their dedication to advocacy and education. Thank you, Ms. Wu. We would also like to invite Puan Aida Safaras to present a token of appreciation to our esteemed panelists. Dr. Razin, you also have one. To Ms. Mazliza Abdul Wahid. Ms. Sharon Rodenjana. Ms. Rini Aziz Ahmad. Thank you to all the panelists for your contributions to making this event a success. So ladies and gentlemen, we have a special treat for you. First, we have the BCWA Clinical Breast Examination. It's a free breast examination conducted in front of the auditorium for free. Not just that, we also have Triumph Beauty Truck, right, located beside our FBB Academy near the simulator building. So we have games, we have promotions, so I think all of you should just run to the truck and just buy for yourself, and for the guys, buy for your wives, please. Sorry, wife. Okay, so now, we're gonna have another photo session after this. Okay, now that we are reaching the end of our event, let us all rise and sing our MH song Bangkit, and after that we gather for another group photo to commemorate this event.